Airing under the steady hand of host Alex Trebek since 1984, Jeopardy is a smart game show for smart people. But every now and then, Jeopardy lets its hair down or submits to the chaotic nature of the universe, and the well-oiled game show machine collapses in on itself to hilarious effect. Jeopardy's producers like to mix up the format once in a while. A stunt category can generate viral acclaim or even elicit chuckles from the show's notoriously serious contestants. Sometimes Jeopardy enlists a celebrity to read the clues, and they've employed the eager young Clue crew for a few years. But no format-breaking stunt will ever be as fun or weird as Alex Trebek singing familiar nursery rhymes with his voice treated by auto-tune. Yes, that odd robotic voice effect utilized on so many early 2000s hip-hop songs made its way to Jeopardy in 2010. Contestants correctly guessed all 5 entries in the Alex Meets Auto-Tune category, in which Trebek creepily sang passages from public domain songs.
The pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside.
Trebek clearly enjoyed this lark, too.
You know, I sound that way every day when I'm not hosting Jeopardy!
In 2005, Jeopardy held its first ever Ultimate Tournament of Champions, partially as an excuse to get 74-time winner Ken Jennings back for a few high-profile episodes. In a special 3-game final, Jennings squared off for bragging rights against fellow champions Brad Rutter and Jerome Barrett. The winner, Rutter, took home an astonishing $2 million. During the final 3-game stand, the contestants concocted a unique way to relieve the stress of such high stakes. They'd play the game free of the burden of pants. When host Alex Trebek found out about it, he thought it would be a fun way to show solidarity. And so when he came out onto the Jeopardy stage at the top of the episode, he was pantsless.
They said we must do the program without trousers. Now, can we get a camera behind to make sure that they have done the same?
They hadn't. You got pranked, Trebek. In a March 2015 episode, returning champion Kristen Sawsville laid waste to her competitors. By the time Double Jeopardy ended and Final Jeopardy was ready to begin, one had amassed -$200 and the other racked up -$6,800. Per Jeopardy rules, they were ineligible to compete in the game's final round, leaving Kristen unopposed. Rounding out a day of futility, Kristen got the final clue wrong. Fortunately, she bet a conservative $1,600 and took home $6,800 for the day. Trebek remarked that it was not one of our greatest days. The Final Jeopardy category, state capitals. The clue? A 1957 event led to the creation of a National Historic Site in this city, signed into law by a president whose library is now there too. The correct response? Little Rock, Arkansas. Heading into that last round, players Mike and Claudia were tied with $13,800 each, with Randy at $6,000. Unfortunately for Randy, she bet everything and lost everything because her reply was wrong. Viewers then learned that Claudia and Mike had followed the same trajectory, betting everything on an inaccurate response, resulting in a 3-way tie with all 3 players registering $0. There was no returning champion on the next episode. The rapper Coolio became the center of a Jeopardy-related pedantic storm in 2017. A contestant named Nick Spicker selected music and literature before and after for $1,600. The clue? A song by Coolio from Dangerous Minds goes back in time to become a 1667 John Milton classic. His response?
Nick, what is Gangster's Paradise Lost?
Spicker got his $1,600 and the game continued, but then the judges reversed the decision. A judge explained on the Jeopardy website the hard R sound caught the ear of one member of the on-stage team, who immediately followed up with a quick check. It turns out that gangsta and gangster are both listed separately in the Oxford English Dictionary, each with its own unique definition. Spicker went on to win the game anyway. Alex Trebek voiced an animated version of himself in a 2006 Family Guy cutaway gag, where Mayor Adam West writes Kebert Zella on his Final Jeopardy response. Alex reads it aloud and...
Only saying his name backwards can send him back to the 5th dimension where he belongs.
On a 2007 Jeopardy episode, returning champion Jared Cohen entered Final Jeopardy with just $1. With no way of winning the game, he wrote, "What is Kebert Zella?"
I heard that sends you back to another dimension.
Sends me back where?
Another dimension.
To another dimension, yes.
Jeopardy's Kids Week is no cakewalk. The judges hold the young players to the same impossibly high standards as the adults. Maybe it builds character. We can only hope it did for poor Thomas Hurley in 2013. On the last Final Jeopardy clue of the tournament, Hurley thought he had the right response, Emancipation Proclamation, but he added an extra T.
That's unfortunate. The judges are ruling against you.
Hurley lost the $3,000 he bet, taking his score down to $6,600. Contestant Skylar Hornback also wrote down the correct response but spelled it the right way, winning $66,600. So Hurley wouldn't have won anyway, but it's still a harsh moment. Jeopardy is a rapid-fire game show, which means sometimes contestants find salacious things coming out of their mouths that even they didn't expect. On the clue, if Andy yearns for Brenda and Brenda cares about Charlene, who pines for Andy, the three of them form one of these. Contestant Kara Spack speedily buzzed in.
Kara.
What is it, threesome?
The audience laughed, she cringed, and another contestant correctly responded, "What is a love triangle?" Then Alex couldn't help but joke about the slip-up.
Kara has obviously had much more experience than I.
While Alex Trebek has hosted other shows and a different host, Art Fleming, preceded him, it's hard to imagine Jeopardy without the Canadian stalwart behind the podium, which is why a 1997 switcheroo was so surprising. Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy run back-to-back on many local TV stations, and it must have shocked viewers when their hosts got mixed up. Trebek helmed an episode of Wheel of Fortune, while that show's regular host Pat Sajak stepped into Trebek's shoes over on Jeopardy. It was all a gag. The episodes aired on April 1st, 1997, April Fool's Day. Jeopardy once again embraced the spirit of April Fool's Day for its April 1st, 2016 episode. Producers loaded the half-hour show with 10 Easter eggs, and neither Trebek nor any of the contestants made any mention of the zaniness afoot. It was up to viewers to spot each joke. The show recycled footage of Trebek's famous pantsless entrance from 2005. All the players' scores briefly appeared backwards. After a commercial break, the Jeopardy slug at the bottom of the screen was misspelled. When Trebek asked contestant Todd to select a clue, IBM supercomputer Watson briefly appeared as Todd. And in that sweet spot where fun prank and fan service meet, Trebek appeared in some old footage with his famous mustache, which he'd shaved off years earlier. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.